non-DNA cases. We have four full-time staff members, including an attorney, an investigator, and a case coordinator. Then we have the reintegrative side of things, in which we acknowledge that it's not enough to simply free people, but we have to help them to rebuild their life after they've been released following a traumatic experience, such as being wrongfully incarcerated. So we've leased an apartment. We have a pair of exonerees living who didn't have another place to stay at. We provide them with regular contact emergency funds, and we're looking to not only sustain what we have, but also to grow it, to expand the capacity, the amount of cases that we're able to work on. Now, before I get into the similarities of cases between myself and Kirstin's case, I think it's important, just as a little bit of contextual information, that we understand what some of the systemic deficiencies are that lead to wrongful convictions. The criminal justice system, as it is currently constructed, is broken, and there's many cracks in which innocent people can fall through in order so that they wind up wrongfully imprisoned. And there are reforms that can shore up those cracks. And so in no particular order, I'll touch on lightly just a few of them. We need to videotape interrogations from beginning to end so that it can be a complete and accurate record of who said what, when, and in what context. It will prevent police officers from leaving details out of their testimony, while also protecting honest cops from false allegations of coercion. False confessions, you might be surprised to know, is the cause of wrongful convictions in 25% of the 306 DNA-proven wrongful conviction cases throughout the country. Although adults have been known to give coerced false confessions, particularly vulnerable populations would include people with mental health issues and youth. We need to have better identification procedures because misidentification has been the cause of wrongful convictions in 75% of the cases. We need to have safety protocols when it comes to incentivized witnessing, which is when people receive benefits in exchange for testimony, for that's been the cause of wrongful convictions in 15% of the cases. Some of the safety protocols there would include a mandatory external evidence corroboration, so that it wouldn't be enough for somebody to simply come into court and getting a benefit for testimony and pointing a finger. And the reason why that's important is because when someone is caught red-handed and does not have truthful testimony to trade on, they will falsely incriminate other people. Another reform in this area would also be, wearing a wire and recording these dubious jailhouse confessions in which people who know each other for a mere matter of weeks or months freely talk about committing murders, rapes, robberies, and other serious felonies which carry substantial prison terms to it. So we can be sure that these conversations take place rather than our fabrications. We need to have a standardized evidence preservation system. For right now, there's, in most states across the country, there's no law mandating that the government preserve evidence. So if you're lucky enough to be wrongfully convicted in a case that does have DNA in it to test, the first hoop you have to jump through is whether or not the evidence has been lost or destroyed. If either of those things have happened, you simply would be stuck in prison, unable to prove your innocence. We need to have a better system of public defense. It's not unusual for public defenders to represent 100 or more cases simultaneously. We need to have an equal playing field of financial resources and manpower so that there's a balance between the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office. We need to have equal pay for both sides so that the best legal talent doesn't go to one side or into public or into private practice. We need to have one centralized system which would enable there to be oversight, quality control, so that those who've been found to have rendered ineffective assistance to counsel would not be in position to do so again. We need to criminalize clear-cut, intentional prosecutorial misconduct. To me, when a prosecutor engages in conduct such as withholding exculpatory material evidence, suborning perjury, not correcting perjured testimony, working hand in glove with experts, tell me what you want to prove and I'll prove it, rather than allowing the experts to give ground-level truth as an objective scientist. To me, such a person is breaking the law and is using the legal system to pull off a kidnapping under color of law, and there should be a criminal penalty to punish those who would do that and to deter others who might otherwise be tempted. For prosecutorial misconduct is rampant throughout the country. Many studies have shown that it's pervasive throughout the system, and that the system cannot, as it currently stands now, police itself. Similarly, we have the doctrine of prosecutorial immunity, in which no matter how egregious the misconduct that a prosecutor engages in, they cannot be sued individually, and as the U.S. Supreme Court recently greatly, severely limited the ability to sue the office as a whole. You know, there's no other aspect of law enforcement. It's not police, not experts, not correction officers. No other part of the system, has this immunity, and yet they're not hindered from doing their jobs. So the idea that we need prosecutors to have immunity so that they're not afraid to do their jobs, that they can focus on prosecuting criminals as opposed to defending lawsuits, is all hogwash. If you don't want to be sued, don't run over someone's rights, don't engage in misconduct, don't engage in prosecutorial misconduct, don't wrongfully convict people for crimes that they're innocent of. This is all about, these reforms, this is not about being soft on crime, it's not about coddling criminals. We're talking about accuracy here. We're talking about arming law enforcement to the teeth so that they can make accurate arrests, have accurate outcomes. This is a public safety issue, because not only when you send the wrong person away, you send them as well as their family, but you can't really say more